At this time, the defendant is going to acknowledge the allegations that are set forth in the complaint.
Bond violation?
Bond violation, correct.
Okay. Anything from the people?
Your Honor, I'll just rely on our previous motion. I do want to say, I did mention that there could be a potential for future charges. I do need to get a little bit of further investigation done before I make a final decision on that for both defendant and defendant's mother. They were both submitted on by Ann Arbor Police.
Who was?
Defendant and defendant's mother.
All right. Okay. Anything you want to say?
There are actually quite a bit I want to say, Your Honor. Defendant is the parent, is married to the victim of this case.
This isn't just a routine bond violation hearing. This is a courtroom unraveling where a toxic relationship collides head-on with the rule of law. A defendant admits to violating a court order, but what unfolds next is far more complicated. Hundreds of messages, ongoing contact, and even allegations of tracking with an AirTag. The defense calls it mutual chaos. The judge calls it something much more serious. As emotions run high and explanations start to crack, one question looms large. Was this just bad judgment or something far more deliberate? Stay with us because what happens in this courtroom might completely change how you see mutual involvement in legal violations.
There's a highly toxic and dysfunctional relationship with victim. The victim sought a PPO. There was never any allegation that there was striking, hitting, assaultive behavior in the PPO. There's more threatening behavior and things of that nature, but not like I've been punched or I've been hit or anything like that. In any event, the PPO was put into place earlier in the winter. The PPO obviously was at the choice of the victim. I'm just going to lay it out for you, Your Honor, and maybe in a way that's not helpful to my client, but I'm just going to lay it out for you. These people have been in nonstop communication with each other since the day the PPO was granted. Hundreds and hundreds of text messages. I just looked at my client's cell phone log this morning in the hallway before I came in here. Hundreds of text messages, including, Your Honor, more than 25 text messages yesterday. The parents have a child together. The child's birthday, his first birthday was on April 12th. The parents went to church together on April 12th for a birthday party for the child. They visited with the fire department and took the child on a ride in the fire truck together recently. The victim, I read through every one of these texts, and as an officer of the court, I could tell you that there is not a scintilla of evidence that indicates that the victim is scared of the defendant. The victim is asking the defendant to come and be part of her life. The defendant has Venmo'd the victim thousands of dollars since the inception of the PPO. How does he Venmo her? She calls him and says that it's money and he Venmos her money. The victim has shown up at the defendant's house. Defendant has been at the victim's house. It's a highly dysfunctional relationship. Some of the texts, Your Honor, that the victim has given I read this morning, some of the texts, the victim is advising the defendant on how to beat this case, on what strategies he needs to be using to beat this felony case against him. And so I'm making some admissions to the court that maybe under some circumstances would be against the best interests of my client, but I've been in front of you, Your Honor. I know you're a straight guy, and I think the court would rather hear this than some nonsense. That's been the relationship that's going on here. The defendant is 31 years old, Your Honor. He's a honorably discharged member of the United States Army, served in the airborne, served in Ukraine, served on the border of Syria. He receives an 80% disability payment through the Veterans Administration for some lower back issues as a result of parachuting. He has been enrolled at Washington County Community College, and on May 6th, he's supposed to receive his associate's degree in transportation technology. So he's been involved in a 2-year program. He's supposed to graduate from that program in the next 2 weeks, Your Honor. He has final exams coming up in the next few days. Court can see his parents are here with him. And they share with me, and the victim and the defendant shares with me that there is some counseling that he can get through the VA that would probably be appropriate. As an attorney, and I know you're an attorney, it's frustrating to me that the defendant has conducted himself in this way. I've shared my frustration with him about this. It's just very frustrating that I can't impress upon him or I haven't been able to as of yet, that I don't care if she shows up at your house. If she shows up at your house, you run in the house and lock the door. That's what you do. And that's how you handle it. And so there's been some monumental bad judgment here. In regards to this allegation of an AirTag being put in her car, the defendant says that took place at his house with the victim participating in this. So,
Excuse me? That he and her did it? That they did it together?
he said that she came to his house unannounced in Ann Arbor, his parents' house where he lives. They discussed putting an AirTag in the car so he would know where her and his child is. And she said that would be a good idea. And the AirTag was placed in the car. And
that's true. Then why does she have concerns when it alerts her phone?
Because it's a highly toxic relationship, Your Honor. The parents are trying to evict the parents are in the process of evicting the victim from their condominium, where the former marital home. The parents are the owner of that home. They're in the process of evicting it. It's a cluster of incredible proportions that are happening here. The amount of legal fees in this case are eye-watering, Your Honor, and I think that I come here today asking that the defendant be given another chance, and I can't promise the court that he's going to be able to control himself to not communicate with this person. I think that this brings it to a level of seriousness that we haven't seen up until now. But I think that he deserves another chance. There's no allegation of physical.
Well, and maybe counsel, and I get that they've got a child together and that there might be some conduct, although there shouldn't be.
Hundreds and hundreds.
Right. But the problem is he's the one under the court's jurisdiction. And I know you know this. And he's the one that cannot have that conduct. And I've told him that. His parents have told him that. But what I don't get, I don't understand this AirTag. If they're having so much contact, why do I need an AirTag? Well, I mean, I could just tell you anecdotally, on my phone, I can see where my wife is at all times, and so I can do that without an AirTag. All she would have to do is share her location with him, and he would know. Your Honor, all I can tell you is I'm seeing texts as early as this morning at 9 o'clock
at 8 o'clock this morning, texts from the victim saying, I'm going to the prosecutor's office because this is all a big misunderstanding. I'm not making that up. That's the text I see from the victim at 8 o'clock this morning. Okay. I saw the same text from the victim 3 times yesterday. She texts him that this is a terrible misunderstanding. And so the defendant is here. He's executed, he's demonstrated monumental bad judgment. We're here falling on our sword. We're not here trying to say that this didn't happen. I told my client, what are you going to do? You're going to come tell the judge you didn't do this? You're not going to lie in court. And so we can't do that. That's not an option to come to court and deny this. That's just not an option. It's not an option for me as an attorney. It's not an option for the defendant. And so there's just bad judgment here. I'm hoping the court could give him the proverbial second chance. I'm hoping that you could impress upon him the seriousness of this. But I'm asking you not to take him into custody, Your Honor. I just don't think it rises to that level.
Counsel, let me just say this. I hear what you're saying about the contact, and that shouldn't even be happening, and I'm sure you're after about that. It rises to a different level when I'm tracking your whereabouts. That's my problem.
The defendant tells me that this was done cooperatively between the parties. And
I heard you the first time regarding that, and I don't believe it. The reason I don't believe it is because he obviously hasn't been following the court's orders, but also that the whole tenor of the police report, which I'm sure you got a copy of,
I did,
doesn't indicate that this is anything cooperative on her part.
I know, but Your Honor, this is also somebody who went and sought a stalking charge and then went and contacted the person saying, this is the police understanding here. I never meant to see you charged like this. So you have a very frenetic victim here who is, on what day of the week, it's a toxic relationship. These people do not do a good job communicating with each other. So if for chance, she asks for a Venmo and it doesn't go through, guess what? She's off to the police department. That's the nature of this relationship. And that's something that needs to be resolved via the divorce. But this is an insane relationship here. And from what I gather, and I'm not a testifier, from what I gather, it doesn't rise to the level of striking each other or hitting each other in the face or that type of thing, But as far as, daggers out and just sort of crazy conduct, these people are involved in a spiral of crazy conduct with each other. They're both part of this crazy conduct. Both of them. But you're right, Your Honor. The defendant is the one who's here in court. The victim is not in court. She's not on the court doesn't have jurisdiction over her conduct as to whether she shows up at his house. And so it's just been bad judgment. It's terrible judgment. And, that's it's funny because, I thought long and hard about this weekend. What am I going to say to you? I really, belabored in my mind, what am I going to say to you? And this is what I'm going to say to you. And I think he deserves another chance. I do believe he can fly straight. And that's our prayer to the court, Your Honor.
So
I did also want to note in the court that our victim advocate did speak with the victim today. And I also spoke to the hallway. That's where I was before this. And I didn't have any mention of any of that, including the cooperative AirTag on her part. I told her she can leave before this because she was not testifying. She wanted to leave. She didn't want to be present today in the courtroom. But she did not mention any of that. And I have not seen any of these texts either.
But she did not indicate that this was somehow cooperative or somehow that the police report itself was some type of misunderstanding.
No.
Did she indicate to you that the entirety of the case was a misunderstanding?
No, she informed me that, and she wanted him to get out. And she was concerned about his parents and what was coming with that. So she just had concerns with what was going on.
There's a highly conflictual relationship between parents and the victim as well. It's off the charts, Your Honor. Mainly revolving an eviction.
How old's the child?
The child just turned 1 year old on April 12th. That's when.
This is the part that's phenomenal to me. I've got the parents at each other in some way. Well, I think somebody may have arrived. Sure. I've got the circumstance that the parents are at each other. The parents of the child are at each other. The defendant and his wife are at each other. There's a divorce going on. There's then this stalking case going on. There's then going to be, thank goodness, the premises, I think, are in Ann Arbor, so it's not my jurisdiction. There's then going to be an eviction that's going on, which makes no sense to me. Everybody keeps raising this to whatever level. The other concern that I have is, and counsel, I get what you're saying to me. Trust me, I do.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And I get the notion of periodically through the weekend after I'd seen the motion, I'm trying to figure out what was he going to tell me after I went through and read the police report and everything. And I don't want to necessarily escalate it, but I'm having a difficult time believing, with everybody operating with iPhones, that the purpose of that tag was as you said it was. She's here. If you want me to put her under oath, and then I'll figure it out that way. But if I get that clients tell attorneys things, and I get that then the attorney has to come up and you have to say what the client's telling you. I get all of that. But I'm telling you, that notion of why that tag's there doesn't fit with anything I see in the police report. Doesn't fit, and maybe in certain relationships doesn't fit with any common sense I know of, but that can happen. But it doesn't make any sense. And now that she's here, and Miss Linda, I'm presuming available to testify before the court, if necessary.
Yes, but if that were the case, I would ask to briefly pass it so she could speak with my victim advocate.
Understood. I don't know. Well, hold on a second. I don't know if your client wants to change his position on what he's had laid to this court about that AirTag.
If we could pass the matter, and I would say to the court that we we're not necessarily hearing testimony day. But
I know, and I'm not, and understand that
but
let me just say this. I look stupid, but I'm not. And the problem is that I realize your client has said that to you. You've related to the court. I don't doubt with regard to any contact that you told him what you said you told me. I don't doubt any of that. I'm just having a real tough time believing your client's premise for why that's. And I'm sure because you have been before me. And one of the things, the worst thing is, if you lie to me, we're going to have a whole other set of problems.
Understood, Your Honor.
So what I will do, knowing that she's here and that I may take testimony, I'll pass the matter so that the victim's advocate can talk with her, you can talk with your client, and then somebody wants to give me a story that makes some sense. Fine. All right. He is to remain in the building. It's not to leave.
Of course.
All right. All right. Is that all I do?
This time the defendant is offering a no contest plea to the allegation, that being that he's able to articulate the facts, and we would stipulate to the police report as a basis.
Anything else from the people? This time, this is currently set for the ETC, I think, this Thursday. So we'll continue the matter to the probable cause conference this Thursday at December 23rd. April 23rd, 2026, 9 a.m. At this time, given the admission to no contest, but admission to the violation, the defendant's bond at this time is revoked. Defendant is remanded.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you, Your Honor.
In the end, despite the defense's attempt to frame this as a chaotic but mutual relationship filled with poor decisions on both sides, the court focused on one thing: accountability. The defendant admitted to the violation, entered a no-contest plea, and ultimately the judge revoked his bond and ordered him into custody. This case highlights a powerful legal principle. No matter how complicated or emotional a relationship becomes, court orders are not negotiable. The introduction of the AirTag, combined with repeated violations, push this situation beyond simple bad judgment into something the court could not ignore. So, what do you think? Was the judge too harsh? Or was this the only logical outcome given the facts? If you found this case as shocking as we did, make sure to hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments,